Alright, welcome to another episode of Alan's Tech Corner, where I, Alan Mitchell, tell you about the latest and greatest technology in today's market. And today I'm going to tell you about my experience using a Google Pixel as an iPhone user. So let's go ahead and get started by talking about the camera experience. So first, I do need to explain that this Pixel 9a was sent to me for free to review. So this particular phone has a 48 megapixel wide angle lens that has an f-stop of 1.7, so that's going to let in the most light. But it also has a 12 megapixel ultra wide with an f-stop of 2.2, so that lens won't let in as much light. So if you want to take good low light shots, use the main sensor. But I wouldn't recommend taking low light shots with this phone in the first place because this does have a mid-range sensor, and it's not really going to be the best for taking low light. I found that when taking low light photos, it can be grainy. So if you want to take some good photos with this phone, you want to make sure you're in a good lighting condition. So that is something to keep in mind. But when you are in a good lighting condition, you can take some very good photos. And I've taken some very good photos too. And I definitely have had a very good experience taking photos with this Pixel because my photos for the most part are very sharp and the colors are very good looking too. And for the most part, does look more comparable to a flagship smartphone like the iPhone 17 Pro and a Google Pixel 10 Pro. So overall, I'd say that this is a pretty solid camera, but you do have to keep in mind that it isn't going to be the best one, and most mid-range phones will have their drawbacks when it comes to the camera system. But what really surprised me about this phone is the build quality because this has a full metal rail, which makes it feel a lot more premium. The back is plastic, but it's a high quality plastic. It doesn't feel cheap. Obviously, when you do this, it does sound cheap, but when you actually have it in your hand, it doesn't really feel all that cheap. Obviously, the more expensive 9 or 9 Pro, or even the 10 or 10 Pro, which is the newest Google phone, will have a more premium feel with a glass back. But this, for the most part, definitely does feel like a nice phone. Now, the performance of this phone and battery life are both rock solid. Now I can use this phone all day without having to recharge it, and I can even leave it on my desk without plugging it in and then have some juice left over in the morning and then just charge it then. I forgot to mention that the battery life can last up to 30 plus hours on the 9A according to Google. But also, the performance, like I just said, is really good too. Obviously, it's not going to be as good as a more top end phone like the 17 Pro or S26 Ultra, but it's pretty good. It's up there, and I would say that for 99% of the tasks that I use for this phone, actually 100%, because I don't do a ton of heavyweight stuff like gaming, I would say that this phone is snappy, smooth, responsive. I watch a lot of YouTube videos on this phone, and obviously for something like that, it's going to be very smooth. Videos will load very quickly, but I also open a lot of apps on this phone too, and I have a lot of apps open in the background too. And even with those apps open in the background, this phone does not slow down. Now, let's talk about the software experience of the Pixel because I've been using Google's latest Material U Expressive editor here. Uh, I meant to say Material 3 Expressive on this phone, and I've been very surprised with that too because it's bloatware free. So you know how most Android phones, if you have an Android phone, you get an Android phone that's like probably $400 or $300, and it has like all these pre-installed apps, like pre-installed games that you probably don't want on your phone to begin with, so you just go ahead and delete them. Well, you don't have to worry about that with this phone because Google doesn't actually put any kinds of pre-installed apps on this phone other than their own apps like Google Chrome, the Google app, Gmail, those Google Workspace apps. So that is my experience using a Google Pixel phone. For more tech tips and tech videos, be sure to stay tuned to the Manestream podcast. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Anyways, see you guys in the next one.